Yay! Hi, everybody. This awesome thing. I have a new toy. This is a sistrum, which is a form of a rattle. No, this is a thing. I got this one at Sacred Source. So it's kind of exciting. I don't know if Sacred Source sells to retail customers or not. If they don't, let me know and I can try and carry these. So this is Hathor, who's one of my favorite Egyptian goddesses. It's not that heavy. So what they did is this would be the instrument of the processional to the temple. So this is what they played before ceremony, before ritual, before anything. Isn't that cool? So there would be a processional. Anyway, I'm over here shaking it. Welcome to session 4. I wanted to create the space. I love that. Brittany says she was just ouding with her oud gun. It's kind of sexy, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Oud is the business. It does. It's like coins. It's flow. I don't know what it's made of. I don't know. That's not my business. I don't know what things are made of. But I love it. So my friend wanted some statues. She's new to everything metaphysical and kind of opening. She's going through her awakening. And so I was like, well, we can go through Sacred Source and that way I can get a couple things too and then I'll send your goodies to you. So that's what we did. And I looked through the site and I was like, there wasn't anything that really spoke to me. And then I looked at the Sistrums, and so she had chosen a couple of other things. She chose a Black Madonna, and she wanted she's very focused on having a non-white Jesus statue, so she was looking for that. In any case, so I ended up buying her a sistrum too, because she had no rattles. So I got the bigger sistrum for myself, and then I got her the baby sistrum. They have a smaller one that's white with Isis on it. So yeah, Sacred Source is a website. I have a wholesale account with them, so I just don't know if they sell to direct to market or if you have to be a reseller. So if you guys aren't able to get them and you want them, I could carry them. Otherwise, you can go to Sacred Source and get one yourself. They're kind of fun, right? So sistrum, S-I-S, it's a Greek root of that word. S-I-S-T-U-R-M is a sistrum. And I just, for me, I don't know about you, but I love sound tools and I love to incorporate. I work with sound every day. I do think sound changes your frequency. When you're mad, when you're frustrated, when you're sad, when you're angry, work with sound. I think a lot of us reach for the crystals or we start to burn a candle, but nothing shifts your energy like sound. Because it literally shifts your frequency and it's instantaneous. You know what I mean? And sometimes when I work with crystals, I feel like there's a delayed reaction. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. No worries, Rhonda. I was just talking about music and other things. But sound is a big deal. I actually had a conversation today with Sarah Whitmire, who's one of your classmates, and we were talking about music because I like to play music all the time. In fact, the only time this room does not have music is when I'm teaching you or when I'm online because of copyright issues. And so my stuff will get blocked or removed if there's any copyrighted music, as it should be. I don't want to violate that. But I do like to play music. I play music in this room every other minute of every day. It goes all through the night, except when I'm live. And so I've been trying to find non-copyrighted sources of some nice spiritual music so that even during class, I could play a little bit in the background. That's more what my reality is like. And so I think it'd be an even deeper experience if there could be some background music. So I'm working on that right now. Right? Yeah, Daimichi said, I played my binaural beats app when I was at the hospital. Probably the best thing you could have done, honestly. Binaural beats are really good if you have trouble sleeping. It's absolutely fantastic. And YouTube. I mean, you don't have to go and buy it, right? Binaural, there's so many great binaural tracks, and some of them are like 6-8 hours long, right? So anyway, I'm glad you're here. So let's talk about what today is. Today I'm going to focus on your questions a lot. We have crafting today. So we're going to do a little bit of crafting. I went on Etsy for today because I knew we were going to be kind of decorating our journals. I went on Etsy and I bought myself some vintage rhinestones to put on the cover of my dream journal. So if you want to go and grab some chipstones, some glue, this is what I have. I have a little bit of tacky glue. I have my tweezers because I'm going to be putting some chipstones on this little cutie. I've got a paper plate and some napkins. And then we're gonna anoint a little bit. I'm gonna burn some of our lucid dreaming herbs because I want to get into that soft, molten place that we were last time when we journeyed with Morpheus. And then I'm gonna spend quite a bit of time on your questions and answering and responding to your questions. And then tomorrow we have coaching. So today and tomorrow, if you have questions, things you're thinking about, things you want better clarification on, today and tomorrow are really your days to do that. And especially today, because I'm really focusing on the questions that have been submitted in writing tomorrow. So today's a good open Q&A session. Does that sound good to you? Yeah, and we did. Actually, the stickers are back in stock. So if you missed, I made this, it's $3 for 3 pages of stickers that Gabriel designed. Did you see these? These are back at sagegoddess.com. They sold out. So if you would like a sticker pack, your code for today is GOLD19. GOLD19. You don't have to have the stickers, but if a lot of you missed them, and I wanted a second set. I think they're the coolest things ever. So yeah, these are back in stock. If you missed the stickers for your dream journals, you can grab a pack of those there. Aren't they fun? If you are going to the website, and I normally don't talk about products during class, and I wasn't going to talk about anything today except Heliodor. After almost 2.5 years, and my team would tell you I have hounded them to get me Heliodor, which is that yellow, my Heliodor necklace that we were talking about before. So we finally have Heliodor on the website, and it's a crazy low price. So I don't want to tempt you, but if you're getting stickers, you should probably get a piece of Heliodor. Because when it's gone, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get more back. I bought as much as I could, but even that wasn't a huge amount, and I don't have a backup source. So Heliodor is yellow aquamarine, basically. Just like pink beryl is morganite and blue beryl is aquamarine, yellow beryl is Heliodor. And it's named after Helios, the sun god. Isn't that cool? This is liquid sunshine in a stone. And it really is a stone of optimism. That's why I bought this necklace for myself, which actually works as a great pendulum too. And if you could actually take one of your pieces from the website and drill it and make your own necklace, if you kind of wanted to do what I'm doing. But I bought this for myself for optimism and strength and will during this time. So green beryl is morganite. No, pink beryl is morganite, and blue beryl is aquamarine, and white beryl is goshenite, and yellow beryl is Heliodor. Green beryl is emerald. That's my beryl song. How do you drill it? You have to have the thing. What's it called? A drill press? I don't know the names of the things. Like, I'm not a tool person, but I think it's called a drill press. No, because the you're welcome. I think this is stable enough on the measure of hardness scale that you're not going to have a shattered stone. I mean, I wouldn't tell you to go drilling your lepidolite. I think that'd be really tricky. But I think it would be hard enough. You have a handheld one? Give it a go, Tina Briggs, and let us know. You got to have the thing. The thing. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about, and then when it comes to tools, I don't know. So I call it the thing, and then you know the thing. You want me to actually post that song? I was embarrassed to sing that song again today because I'm like, they must laugh at me behind my back and go, pink beryl is morganite and blue beryl is aquamarine. So I'll have to do that for you. Can you use a Dremel? Tell me more, Zumarella. Come to me, darling, with your wisdom. Can you really use a Dremel? What? Okay, here we go. Serafina. Dremel drill press stand with diamond bits. Serafina Angel. Mic drop. No, but I would laugh at me. Seriously, Serafina, you rock. Thank you so much. You have to have the right bits. I have to have the bits. You have to have the thing, and then you have to have the bits. Can't drill a hole in a stone unless you have the thing and the bits in water. Boom. And listen to me, that could change your life. Think about your crystal collection. I mean, I think anything on the measure of hardness scale above a 6, you probably can is stable enough. You think of quartz as being like a 6.5 to a 7, right? So anything on the measure of hardness scale above 6, I think would withstand the bits and pieces. So good luck. And if you start drilling, I mean, look, that could turn into a whole, thing for you. Because I have a thing, I'll tell you, there's a lot of beautiful jewelry in the world. When I was looking, and we'll start, I'll come back and focus in a second, but I think this is interesting, actually. There's a lot of jewelry in the world. Thank you, Cindy Nolan, by the way, thank you. Actually, my hairdresser came over yesterday and did it for me at the house, so she did a very good job. I have to give her a lot of credit. There's a lot of really pretty jewelry, Heliodor jewelry. I didn't want anything set in metal because I didn't want anything to distract from the energy. And this was the only pendant I could find online that was just the stone in a hole. I didn't want like a pretty bezel. I didn't want prongs or anything. And some people feel that way. And yet, I literally had to hunt, and there was one. And I'm talking about one piece in the world. On Etsy, eBay, everywhere I went to look, nobody had just a drilled. So that could be a whole thing. I don't have the patience or time or really the interest to do that, but maybe some of you do. And you know what? Ready, set, go. And then we can get it from you. You're going to have a line of us going, will you drill my stone? Will you drill my stone? Right? Anyway, have fun with that. So we're going to talk about your questions and answers. We're going to decorate our journals today, and we're going to release our beloved tools. Check it out. This is the grand test. Are you ready? Dave and Nick worked really hard on this. So if it works, it's full kudos to them. I take no credit. Ready? Check this out. What do you think? You can still see me, but you can also see my altar. Is this the coolest? Do you like this? Isn't this awesome? So because we do have the need for lip reading in the group, Dave and Nick specifically made this so that my lips could still be read while we are focusing on the altar. So thank you for your feedback. I just want to show you, they worked so hard to do this because of how much they care. Isn't that the coolest thing? Right? I know. So anyway, when I'm teaching you, I'm going to be focused on you like this, but when we're doing stuff down here, they're going to do that. And I'm going to pass along your kind feedback to them. Well, and I appreciate that, Saya. I mean, I like to be front and center with you too, but it's still kind of cool that we can do that. Yeah, so anyway, they worked hard, and it was really just out of care and concern for you guys and making sure that you have everything that you need so that you can see what's happening over here on the altar, but that you don't lose the ability to read lips. Nick is actually really smart and really good at this. He set this whole thing up. He's absolutely brilliant. I mean, if he doesn't end up doing that as his career, I think that will be a loss for the world. And he's passionate about it. He rewired my whole system here. He cleaned up the wires. He bought this stuff to like cover the wires so that they wouldn't be visible. That's my 13-year-old. I know. So anyway, cheers. Thank you for saying all those kind words. Okay. So I'm going to ring my bell. I wanted one of these little cacao bean bells. These are the little gifts with purchase from my anniversary. So if you're getting a little bell, it's such a cutie little bell. So that's our bell for today. I'm going to smudge us to kick us off with the new torches, which I'm so stoked about. Thank God those Sage Goddess torches finally arrived. I feel like I waited 100 years for those. The pandemic has really slowed everything down. But they're here, and I finally have a reliable fire source. So I'm going to get some white sage going for us. I want to invite you to take a breath. And while we're smudging and kind of dropping into the space, I want to, one thought or one kind of meditation or one idea that I've been working with lately, and you can listen to me with your eyes open or listen to me with your eyes closed. Oh, did it really? I'm glad you like that one. Um, I want you to visualize, I'm sitting on carpet, right? Wherever you are, if you're standing or sitting or laying down. I want you to really bring your attention to where you're sitting. So if it's outdoors on the earth, if it's indoors on carpet, or maybe you're sitting on a chair, or you're laying down on a bed or on a mat, I want you to bring your attention to that surface that you're sitting on, you're laying on, and I want you to take a moment and allow yourself to know that that surface is holding you, that you're being held right now. You guys are looking at my little stuffers back there, little kitties. You're being held in that chair at your work desk, Candace, right? I'm being held by this carpet on this floor. And then beneath that, what's beneath that, right? What's under that surface? So then beyond that, beneath that, you're being held by the earth under your home or under your office, right? And then pushing even beneath that, you're being held by all the layers of rock and time under the surface, under your house, under your office, wherever you are. And you're being held by all of the little tiny underground rivers that flow. And it's all under you, and it's all holding you just like this. That's been a really helpful, every time I smudge, I do that little reminder to myself. I'm held by the carpet, I'm held by the foundation of the house, I'm held by the layers of rock, sand, and time under the house. I'm held by the little underground rivers that flow. I'm held by the bones buried beneath the surface and the crystals that are still forming in their caves and caverns, and I'm held by the center of this planet. Right? So good, isn't it? That's right, the crystal matrix. It's all there. And the best part of that little meditation, because it's like super, super brief, it's very brief, but it allows you to really connect. And the most important thing of that process is to remember it's holding you without your permission, without your intervention, without you needing to ask, without you having to do, change, fix, or alter anything, without you needing to be better than you are or something different or other than you are. It's holding you right now, and it's holding you without your permission, without your intervention, and without your need to prove or sustain or fix or change anything. And so it's completely, it just is, right? And so it's like, and then once you accept that, it allows you to also move through the rest of your life and say, you know, that the world around you is in support of you. We were talking about this earlier during the readings. You are right on time, Kenneth. We were talking about this earlier during the readings. I think one of the problems people have, and I see it in our collective sometimes, is there's two ways to look at your life, or to look at the universe, I guess I should say. Either the universe supports you and it's got your back and it's holding you, or the universe isn't. You know what I mean? Like, it either is or it isn't. And if the universe is holding you, then by that fact alone, you can rest, retreat, surrender, allow, you know. And if the universe isn't holding you, then you probably have more to worry about than ever before, right? Like that, you have a choice about your worldview. Yeah, I mean, Holden's feeling it. There's big energy around what I'm telling you. And it came up during the readings, and I wanted to revisit it tonight because some people aren't able to come to the readings and class. It's too much of a time commitment, so they only come to class. And I think this can be, it sounds really simple. It's one of those little pieces of wisdom that's so simple, and yet it's so radically profound, because if you believe, we were talking about the ability to like rest in the water, if you believe, and make sure you listen, by the way, to the audio in your Facebook group, because this ties into the audio I made for you a couple of days ago. But if you believe that the universe is holding you, and that it has your back and it has your best interests at heart, then you don't have to try and control everything so much. You know? Yeah, I see you, Tara. I really do. So yeah, and I know that. So that's why I wanted to bring it up again, is for those of you who just, because you're time bound, making it to the readings is really tricky. And so sometimes there's a lot of wisdom that happens there, but I don't always remember to, export it over here and share it in a format that you can hear it. So yeah, it's truly important. So if the universe has your back, which I believe it does, I mean, I fundamentally believe it does. I absolutely believe the universe is working in my favor at all times. And not just me. There's nothing special about me. The universe is working in your favor at all times. And even when it doesn't look like it, it is. Like that job that you really, really wanted but you didn't get, that would have been horrible for you. You know what I mean? Like that, I was so mad at the universe for so many years for not allowing me to end up with my first love. I was really resentful of the universe for a long time for that. That was the best thing the universe ever did for me. I mean, wow, right? But I was so upset about it for so many years, and I was like, the universe doesn't have my back, otherwise I'd be with him. And it's like, now I look back and I'm like, and the universe is like, I hate to say I told you so. Right? So like, even now when you look and you say, I want out of this. I don't want this. I don't like this. Why is this happening? And it's like, through the fullness of time. And that's why we were literally today, Scout. It's so funny. It's almost like you were there. Energetically, I guess you were, right? We were literally talking in the readings today about perspective and how everything is a matter of perspective. I could look around my life right now and I could list for you about 10 things that like are super challenging. Like construction on our building is delayed, and we're already now like probably 60 days out, right? Which has implications for everything. And it's very stressful. Like I could choose to spend my whole day focusing on that. I could list 8 or 9 other things for you right now that are points of big stress. But I know the universe has that. The universe brought that building, right? So obviously, my perspective is it's all going to work out. I mean, it drives Dave crazy, right? But one partner in the relationship always has to have the trust. But I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all going to be great. It's all going to line up. We're not meant to move right now. It's okay, or whatever. So I hope this is helpful for you. And one of the things that this leads us into is our discussion of archetypes. So I want to bring you back to your worksheets for the month, right? It's hard. I mean, if you're looking for reasons to not see that the universe has your back, then you can probably find 1,000 of those reasons, right? Like Kenna said, my first nursing job was not with the company I was with for 5 years, and I was bummed. I had a job for 2 months before my old job called me back, right? Like, yeah. Each one of you has examples of that. So you have to trust a little bit. But if you also have to have a partner sometimes who doesn't trust, because then they go and they hold all the details. So Dave is the less trusting of our duo, right? Then that's a great question from Candace. When you're choosing to focus on is important, if it's an energy stream, is that the one you want to feed, right? Do you want to feed the stress stream or do you want to feed the flow stream? And it becomes a choice. So I want to bring you back to your worksheets because this is really relevant for our discussions tonight. Yeah, it's true. But here's the thing. From Lexus Milan said, Milan said, when things are great and you don't want to fall off course. But here's the thing. What if you can't fall off course? Every time I've fallen off course, I have actually been listening to the universe and moving close to my purpose. But it looked like I'm falling off course. I actually don't think it's possible to fall off course. I mean, it's just my perspective, right? I don't know that I can. But you know what, if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, I would say, oh no, I think it's possible because I had felt like I was falling off the course, right? But what if you can't? What if your job is to make as many mistakes as you can? Like, you know what? Go ahead and screw it up. I mean, I look at parenting that way. I mean, it's really crazy, but I do look at parenting because people are always like, well, what if your kids do this? And what if your kids do that? And it's like, I mean, my job here is to put guardrails around and lead by a good example, but I can't micromanage them for the rest of their lives. And ultimately, that's how we learn, right, is by making mistakes. So what's a mistake? You know what I mean? Like, are there mistakes? I learned from every single one of mine, and I made some big ones. I fucked up a lot. You know? But I'm not here to tell my kids, like, ooh, don't do that. I don't want to teach my kids a bunch of fear. Because then that's going to put them in a paradigm of, like, looking over their shoulder their whole lives, and I don't want that either, right? So, anyway, make as many mistakes as you can today. Really try to screw it up. Because you know what? I think that's great. Some of the best inventions in history were made by people who actually screwed up. They were trying to do one thing, they ended up doing something else. So then they ended up, discovering something that changed the course of history. That's like, wow, thank you so much for really screwing that one up, because now we have this, It's an amazing thing. And that's why I'm telling you, like, you think you're messing up, and the universe is laughing, because it's like, she has to mess up or we're not going to get the thing. Like, she's got to screw this up. How do we explain to her it's a designed circumstance, right? It's a fated action. Velcro, penicillin, right? Like, screw it up, kids. You're doing a great job. Let's see how much we can screw up today. Okay, so let's go back to this. This is a chart of the 4 elements, and it breaks down each one of the chunk of Jungian archetypes. If you recall back to session 1, our Pillars of Priestessing session, where I taught you about Jung, who is arguably the most famous psychoanalyst in history. And Jung was a magician. I mean, Jung was very familiar with esoteric spiritual studies. Jung ultimately is the person responsible for the Myers-Briggs inventory, right? He partnered with them and brought forward that modality, which I use the Myers-Briggs in our classes sometimes. I've used it for the Of Light and Shadow classes. I used it as a consultant and a coach. It's a very effective and very accurate system for understanding personality types. We're actually going to start building it into the interview process for Sage Goddess, because there are certain Myers-Briggs that don't work well at Sage Goddess. And we've kind of isolated it, and so we want to kind of we're still going to hire those people, because you have to have balance, but certain positions will not work with certain types. We've noticed it, and so we want to kind of try to get people into positions where they're going to thrive, right? So it's very accurate, and a lot of us are the same type, right? Even though the INFJ is one of the rarest profiles, I'm an INFJ. A lot of us are INFJs in the group, so it's an interesting thing. Yeah, Lindsay's an INFJ. We can talk about that later. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but it's an interesting subject, isn't it? Okay, so in the South, which is the fire element, we have the archetypes of the rebel, the explorer, and the orphan, right? And we went through these last time. So the rebel, if you look at your sheet, the rebel wants to overthrow things that don't work anymore. Total fire sign, right? The orphan wants to belong. So I want to ruin things, but I don't want to be lonely. And then the explorer archetype wants to experience the fullness of life. And so what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, where I'm going with this is, I want to bring it back, because before you go to sleep, I'd like you to do an experiment starting tonight until session 4 of August, if you're open. And remember, when I give you homework or tell you you should try an experiment, I'm not saying you have to do it. It's just a gentle nudge from me to maybe consider bringing something into your practice. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to document it in my dream journal. So each night I'm going to put the date, and I'm going to put the archetype that I'm trying to connect with. Are you ready? Is this interesting to you? Okay. I actually think this could be a real paradigm shifter for us, and I actually think it's going to help a lot with some of these struggles and challenges that people are facing in our community, frankly. And if I could get the whole planet to do it, I think it would help the whole planet, because there's nothing happening in the soul shift community, stress-wise or challenge-wise, that isn't also happening to every other person on this planet right now. The one thing I want to make sure, and I want to put that in context, in our group, in our community, people are feeling challenged, and they're acting from their subconscious, and their root chakra is all activated, right? Because there's a lot of fear and anxiety in the field. That's how the whole planet is right now. So again, there's nothing happening in our soul shift community that isn't happening outside. It's just we are like a little microcosm, right? We're a little bubble of it. So we can, and because we're learning about leadership, we can kind of study these things, right? But again, the same stresses, the same challenges, the same anxieties, the same fears, the same, feeling either, vulnerable, right? Like, oh, I feel so vulnerable, or feeling scared, right? And so it's this we're a little tiny picture of like what's actually happening everywhere else. And so I would actually give this assignment to everyone I know if I could, but you guys are more apt to do it. All right, so let's start with it here. And then if it helps you, part of what I do in Soul Shift is try to give you tools that you can then take to the people you teach, your kids, your family, your community, your employees, your colleagues, right? Like if I give you something and it works, I actually want you to take these things out and see if they're portable, so it works here. Does it work with your clients? Does it work with your friends? Does it work with your community, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the archetypes of each element tonight. We are going to sort through and figure out what are your balancing archetypes. So if you're feeling super fiery, like I am right now, and you're an all fire person like I am, then what I'm going to tell you is you need to look across the wheel. Boom. And you need to activate these archetypes. If you're crying all the time, feeling sad, feeling unnoticed, feeling alone, feeling isolated, feeling, like the cancer, like the crab, right? Then you need to go across the wheel before you go to bed and set an intention to activate an air archetype, which is going to pull you out of that weepy, cryy, sad, right? Because water and air balance each other, earth and fire balance each other. You don't have to stick to this. So let's go through. So my balancing archetypes then, if you go by this wheel and by the elements, my balancing archetypes are the sage, the ruler, and the jester. And I do that. You notice me doing that, right? Like when it's heavy, what do? I make a joke, right? Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. But I try to laugh because the jester is a balancing archetype for me. Does that make sense? And what I'm trying to do more and more in Soul Shift is really show you not just what this is, but how to use it. Like I actually am going to fold this in half. I'm going to cut it out and fold it in half. And I'm going to store this in my journal. Because even though I know this by heart, I kind of like having the visual of it. So if you didn't print it out already, you can print it out and then cut it out and put it in your journal. Or you could actually print it. I might do this instead. Print it and make a smaller version, like kind of compact it down, and then you could actually make it like the size of a page. Right? Kind of cool. It's true. I mean, I laugh at inappropriate things at inappropriate times. I'm always that person where like, yeah, you'll be at a funeral and you hear somebody laughing and you're like, God, there's somebody who's so inappropriate. And then you turn around and I'm like, like, oh shit. Because when it's too much for me, I go to laughter. And you have to know that means, oh, that's nice. Alexis is going to have it resized so it will fit in your journal automatically. Because she's the best damn person ever, and I'm very lucky to have her on my team. How do you get someone like Alexis? I thanked her the other day, and I told her, you cannot pay someone to care. Because it's true. You can't pay someone to care. So you're really lucky when you have someone who cares. She's just flippin' amazing. Okay, yeah, so it'll be ready for you on Friday because our graphic designer's out tomorrow. Thank you, Alexis. I really appreciate that. Okay, so then now we've talked about Earth, and so let's talk about the Earth archetypes real quick and what they're looking for, right? So let's look at the Sage archetype. The Sage archetype wants to teach. She is my unicorn. I know, she totally is. The Sage archetype wants to teach. The Ruler archetype wants to bring structure and community, right? So under times of stress, I want to teach, bring structure, and laugh. Right? Is that you too? Now, let's do the flip. if you're an earth sign, or you align mostly to earth, or that's your predominant element that you identify with, then you're going to need to go south in order to balance. So you're going to need to go back to those rebel, explorer, and orphan archetypes. You're going to need that in order to balance. Does that make sense? Okay. And then if you're you're air in the east, your archetypes are the creator, which you want to leave value and legacy. You want to build something, right? And then the hero archetype, which is on the front side, to help, save, and protect. These are the air signs: help, save, and protect. And then the innocent archetype, which is to be happy. That's air. Think about every Gemini, Libra, Aquarius you know. So true of them, right? That's why they want to do. That's what they want to do. That's what they're here to bring and create and manifest and grow. So if they are feeling, now the air signs get too much in their head, and they overthink everything. They have full conversations with themselves that sometimes aren't accurate, and they spin themselves up, okay? So when they need to balance, they need to go across the wheel to water. And the water archetypes are magician, to translate the laws of the universe, right, to how to use its tools. The lover archetype, which is to be in relationship. What do water signs want? They want to connect, right? And then the last one is the caregiver, which is to look after others. So for air signs, what gets them out of their head is other people, right? They need to talk to other people. They need to be in relationship. They need to express. They need to share, because otherwise it's all in their head, and they're just spinning this old wheel and getting themselves into a anxiety attack. You know what I mean? And then the water signs get bogged down in relationship. They're helping people too much. They're pouring out, right? Their chalice is just emptied on everybody. But they need spaciousness of their thoughts in their mind. They need to be able to like retreat from all of those relationship challenges and dynamics, and be able to kind of go off in their own world for a little while. Interesting, right? So now you know how to work with this document, and so my intention is that it becomes a compass for you, that this is the compass for your dream work. And this is the next part I'm going to teach you. I don't have a worksheet for, so just listen to me. Alexis will take notes, and then we'll put it in your notes for you. Yeah, it's interesting, right? And again, like I said, this is portable. You can take this and share it with people in your life, and kind of show them and teach them. And if you have people who are open-minded, one thing to remind them is this is not metaphysics, this is psychology. If you show this to people and they're like, well, that's you and your woo-woo stuff that you do, like that's you and your sage goddess weirdo, whatever, this is not. This is Carl Jung mapped onto the elements. But this is fundamental psychology. Like this is university level psychology. So this isn't like the weird purple-haired lady telling you stuff, right? This is like legit what I would serve up in an academic context back in the day. Well, I have to say it because I have people in my life too where they're like one of my best friends actually. Her partner is launching a book. Launched a book yesterday, Tuesday, and he's an acclaimed writer. You would recognize who it is. So I don't want to tell you who it is. But her partner is his partner is one of my best friends. And she was saying, he was a little, he's worried about the book launch and stuff because of COVID and how things are kind of being overtaken, with that stuff on the news. And I was like, well, maybe breath work or something like that would be good for him, just to kind of get out of his head. And she was like, yeah, but is there something like not like sage goddessy, like magical that he could do? I'm like, well, let me think about that. Anyway, yeah, who cares if it's legal? I'm so glad. Thank you, Andrea, for that. Okay, so the next part is something that I have practiced for a long time. And I don't exactly know how it works. I have no worksheets, and I have no scientific basis for it. So if you want to try this, you got to take me at my word and see if it works for you. Okay. I have taught you a version of this before. Is anybody here who's seasoned? I don't want to say old. Anybody here who's seasoned? There's a lot of you who've been around for a minute. Do you remember me talking to you about pulling up your energetic car next to somebody else's energy car? Do you remember this conversation? Is it ringing a bell? I think it must have been about like, yeah, Carol's been around, Tara's been around, Dot's been around, Michelle, Casey, Rochelle. I mean, I love you guys. It's actually really cool how many lifers we have and Soul Shift. Look at that. Okay, do you remember it? Okay, I don't know when it was from. I think this was like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe-ish. Okay, and you remember. Okay, 2017 or 2018. That's what I think too, Tracy. Okay, it's a version of that. It's tapping into someone's energy flow. And we went through it in kind of detail, right, Cindy Cole Miller? Because we also talked about the ethics of this. So I'm going to teach you what it is, and then I'm going to teach you what not to do. Okay? I love you guys. I really do. Okay. So that's the metaphor I used for the process I'm going to describe to you right now. Okay. This is my favorite magic because it works, and it can turn everything around very quickly. But you have to surrender to the process, okay? So everybody has an energy field around them. And everybody has a primary, secondary, and tertiary energy stream that they align to. Whether or not they're conscious of it, that's a whole other thing. Are you even conscious of it? Like, what are the energy streams that you serve? Because you probably have a primary one, a secondary one, and then a tertiary one. We usually have priorities, right? And so, you know, my energy streams that I serve are beauty. Beauty is the primary energy stream that I serve in the world because I think that beauty is actually everything. I think beauty is magic. I think beauty is energy. Beauty is symmetry and sacred geometry. Beauty is alignment. Beauty is contentment. So I've defined beauty as one of the primary energy streams that I align to and work with and value because it kind of subsumes a lot of the other energy streams that relate to it, right? Love is an energy stream for me, right? And a lot of you are aligning to love too. I would put truth. I'm a Sag moon, so truth is very important to me. Like I like the truth. I like knowing the truth. I like clean relationships where like you know where you stand, I know where I stand. I don't like a lack of transparency in relationships. It really bothers me energetically. So I like truth, but I'm going to say truth/wisdom. Because I really value wisdom and knowledge. That's the sexiest thing in a human being to me is when they're wise. And I don't need them to be book smart. I just need them to be wise about something. Like they might be wise about their lineage traditions. They might be wise about cooking. They might be wise about child rearing, or they might be wise just because they've been on the planet for a long time. But wisdom just does something to me. Like I can sit and listen to a wise person for hours without losing the attention span. You know, it's just such an important thing to me. So those are my energy streams, right? And Scout resonates because her Sag sees my Sag. Every Sag says truth, just because we're on a quest for truth. That's the whole Sagittarian life path. And we're convinced it's out there and we're going to find it. And so we drive people crazy because it's like we're never satisfied. Like, but what if that's not the truth? Right? So I want you to think for a moment right now, and when we get to our journals, this might be, because we're going to work on our journals for the second hour, this might be a good thing to actually like add in a couple notes here. Let's talk about this. So, and you can share it if you want, or you can keep it just with yourself if you want. You don't have to share it. Some things like this might be considered kind of private for you, which is okay. There's a lot of Sagittarian energy in this group though. So love, freedom, and beauty for Vanya, right? Oh, thank you, Susan Moore. I appreciate it. Dawn Marie is saying wisdom, truth, love, beauty, loyalty. I also value loyalty too. Loyalty, I think for me would be like a number 5 because I do need the others more. And I can deal with some breaches of loyalty in my life as long as I feel that the person is being truthful. You know what I mean? Like I can't deal with like secrecy and lies, but if somebody needs a little like break from me, or they need to be in a different space or relationship, like I can actually navigate that. So it depends on where your energy goes, right? So compassion, wisdom, and beauty for Lynette. Andrea said peace, harmony, and love, right? Yeah, this is very interesting. Okay, so the next step is to look around your life and to ask yourself, where you would make some changes. What would you change? And I want you to think like big changes, and then I want you to think small changes too. To me, big changes are I would change where I live, or what I do for a living, or like those are big changes. Like I would change, if you would change your relationship, I wouldn't change my relationship, but if you would, like that's a big change, right? Things that are kind of tectonic are big changes, things that really would kind of like shift the foundation of your life. The small changes are, I'd probably change my weight. That's a smaller change. That's not going to change the ultimate structure of your life, but it's a change, right? Or you could say, well, I would change my daily routine, or I would change I like my job, but I would change my salary. You know what I mean? Like, again, not tectonic shifts, but things that obviously would impact you in some way. So think about the high level changes, the big tectonic changes that you would make, and then think about the low level, kind of more moderate changes that you would make in your life. And then, this is where it gets interesting. Then I want you to think about someone who has done that, who's a good model of that for you. You don't have to know the person, because all we're doing is feeling into their energy, and then lining our energy up to be at a similar frequency. That's all we're doing. If you're not sure, just pick one. Do you know what I mean? Just pick one, Heidi Cruz, because it can get overwhelming. I like to start with it when you're learning a new technique. Like, let's make this simple. So just pick one. Right? So I did this, right, with, I've done it with weight loss. I've done it with, because I really wanted to change the kind of the structure of my body too. And I really did. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it actually happened for me. Like it's bizarre how this actually works. It is. It's another word for this. I try not to use the big words, Susan, because it can throw people off, but this is entrainment. You're basically entraining your energy field to vibrate at a new frequency, at a different frequency, and which necessarily creates changes in the fundamental structure of your experience of your life. If people knew, that this worked, like there would be whole classes on this. I've never done that because I don't know that I could like teach a whole class about this. I'm teaching it to you tonight, and after this you'll be able to go off and do it on your own. So I don't even think you need more than like half an hour on this, honestly, before you can just go do it. Well, to a certain extent, I am actually saying that, Candace. Now, I want to talk through this a little bit more, okay? Oh, did I? Well, I did talk about it a little bit, Susan. I'm glad you mentioned it, Susan. You're accurate. Sometimes I don't use the specific words because then people get they get intimidated. So I use kind of try to describe things in a little bit more lay language. Well, and I hear you say it, and I've had body issues all my life. My mom was on a diet from the time, I don't blame her for this, by the way, but she was on a diet from the time I can remember. And she would and I would always go with her to her Weight Watcher meetings, to her Nutrisystem meetings, to her Jenny Craig meetings, I remember, and those were like every week, and there'd be the weigh-in and like, oh, what happened? Did you lose? Did you gain? Like super stressful around that. I just literally, my whole childhood, I remember just going from one to the other, and then we would switch a program, and then I would like ask her if I could like have the candies out of her Nutrisystem, you know what I mean? So, and ultimately it didn't work, right? Because it didn't fundamentally create a shift in her frequency. It was just for her. I think it was just felt like something she could do, right? But ultimately, when you go back, you start eating your regular food, the weight comes back. I mean, there's no way it wouldn't, right? So isn't that interesting, Rochelle? So a lot of us have, so that always led to me saying, am I fat? Like, do I need to go on a program? Like, should I be weighing myself? Like, I just remember as a young girl going, maybe I should be doing this too. And she didn't ever have me do it, but I just, you look at your mom and that's your role model. And my role model was always wondering if she was too heavy. Okay, so here we go. So what you can do is align yourself to someone who is more physically fit, align yourself to their frequency. to experience more of what that energy is like, which means you may end up, I mean, when I did this, I ended up having a diminished appetite, which was really weird for me. Because I'm an eater, you know what I mean? Like I could put it away, and I started noticing I just had less of a desire to eat, and more of a desire to move, and I got more flexible as a result than I had been. And so now I think you have to take steps in that direction too. It's not like it's just like poof and now you're skinny or whatever, right? But it's like, or poof and now you're rich, or poof and now you're whatever it is you're trying to align to, right? But it gets you kind of a kick start, okay? Because it teaches you, again, fundamentally, this is teaching you on, it's an astral entrainment. That's exactly right. And it's showing you what a different frequency feels like, which is different than saying you shouldn't eat so much, or you shouldn't, do this, or you should do this. It's actually a knowing in your system as a result of a shift in your vibrational field. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it's the same thing. Casey's talking about watching YouTube, right, and learning from other people and kind of like feeling into their energy too. And have you noticed certain people's energy, like you want to entrain to it, you want to get closer to it, and some people's energy you're like, I don't want any part of that. That is not for me. And so, but what it teaches you is that's the case for everybody. Like, I'm sure there are certain people who entrain to my frequency, and I'm sure there's some certain people who are like, she's probably not the right one for me. Okay, because everybody's looking for something different, right? And so it really depends on what you're trying to entrain to. So you need to identify an example of what it is that you're trying to manifest. So if you're trying to get into better shape, you can align to or entrain to the energy of someone who is an athlete, right? Who's strong physically, who's in really good physical shape, who takes really good care of their body. I've tried to entrain to people who don't eat as much animal product, because I'm really trying to work on dialing back my consumption of meat in particular. I just love beef. I really do. I like to cook with beef, but I want to eat less meat. So I'm trying to entrain myself to the frequency of someone who's vegan, so I can kind of, it's a little easier for me because the frequency will be there. You know what I mean? A dancer would be a perfect example. So if you want to get into better shape with a stronger core and be more flexible, you could entrain to a belly dancer, for example, or a ballet dancer if you really want to have like nice, strong, physical, lean body, right? I'm reading your comments. So here's the thing. This is the ethics of it. If you are just noticing a frequency and trying to entrain to that frequency, the person holding that frequency doesn't experience anything. It would be almost like, what's an example? It would be almost like noticing the miles per hour someone's driving in their car. You're not trying to drive their car, you know what I mean? And you're not taking gas out of their tank, but you're going, oh, they're going 55, I want to go 55, and kind of seeing if you can go the same speed as them. Does that make sense? It's an observation. Now, there are people who do harvest. It's called harvesting, and it's like they do actually pull the energy of the person. That is not ethical. It's also not safe. I mean, going into people's energy fields and pulling on their energy can have a lot of consequences karmically, right? So it's really just about noticing the miles per hour. And I'm using that analogy because honestly, it's their frequency, which is not different from their speed. It's how they're vibrating, right? Yeah, we don't harvest. It's not nice. We don't do that. I've had people try to harvest for me. I mean, not like students in classes or anything, but like just being in the public eye. I can feel it sometimes. And it doesn't feel good. You want to draw a line. It's like, no, you can't have my energy. But you can certainly align to my frequency if you wanted to do that. Just like I can align to your frequency if I want to do that, right? That's exactly right. So Brooke, you're not becoming them. And one of the things I do, so you're not taking on all their problems, okay? What I think is really important to do is to focus on what part of their energy you're trying to align to. So with the dancer, for example, we're trying to align to their flexibility, to their fitness, to the things about that practice that resonate with you. And then it's about allowing and feeling into what that feels like vibrationally. Like we're not trying to align to the frequency of their marriage. Right? Each part of our lives, each aspect of our lives has a frequency. It's not all up or all down, right? Yeah, I mean, pole dancers get it. That's exactly right, Daimichi. The same thing that Casey said too, which is you can watch people on a video and align. So it doesn't have to be a living person in my experience, because again, it's an energy stream. You're basically, in my experience, you are, because your human brain needs to think that it's doing something. That's why I'm even telling you to choose an example. You don't really have to choose an example, but it gives you a way of visualizing it so you understand. You don't really need to align to a person's frequency. What you're trying to do is align to a frequency more generally. She said, I'm not sure I know, but maybe I'm overthinking. So how do you align to it? So you literally just ask to have your frequency vibrate at the same frequency as the one you're in training to. And give your vibration permission to align to that frequency. And like I said, it's kind of like pulling your car up next to someone. You could wave at them, but you're not getting in their car, you're not getting out of your car. You're just literally trying to get your car to move at the same frequency as theirs. And give permission. And the one person that I still continue to realign to, because here's what I've noticed, okay? A couple things in my own practice for what it's worth to you. I've noticed sometimes I have to re-entrain. If I don't manage the process, if I don't like kind of stay on top of it, my vibration tends to shift away again. Have you noticed this? And so I will realign. All right, spirit guides, I think we slipped. Like, where did that go? I want to reconnect. And it totally works with money. It works with prosperity. It works with, that's exactly right. I love that. Saya said it's like swings, where you're trying to get the swings, and like for a while your swings are like this, and then eventually your swings start to go together. You've been on a swing in a while. It really works, but you can have to realign. So if you start to notice that you're getting away from it, sometimes reminders are helpful. There's one person in my life, and it's funny that she's one of the main ones. She's the mom of one of my best friends in high school. And her husband owns Dariush Winery up in Napa. And she's someone I greatly admire. And part of the reason I greatly admire her is she's got poise and class, but she is really kind and really respectful. And I just find that there aren't a lot of people in the world like that anymore. To me, she's like one of the classiest and most refined women I've ever met, but she's crazy humble. And I just have always, ever since I was young, wanted to embody that. She's also really gracious. She likes to be a host for people. She likes to entertain, and her philosophy is that people should feel as at home in your home as they do in their own home. And so she's got this really gracious kind of, I don't know, generous host energy that I find I like to embody that in my life. I don't always know how to do it. And so I've often like entrained and re-entrained myself to her frequency, because she stays calm and cool, kind of no matter what. And she always can kind of see the bigger picture. She's not judgmental, and she's just she's gracious and beautiful. And I think she's kind of magnificent. I mean, you can see her if you go on the Dariush website and you look up about them. There's pictures of her, and then it gives her profile and stuff. And it's actually kind of an inspiring story, but she's absolutely beautiful. But she's physically beautiful, but she's also energetically beautiful. Do you know what I mean? And so because she's the one person who kind of has all of the things I would like to be, because she's successful, but she's humble and she's kind and she's generous and all those things. That's what I try to connect to. Could the person be dead? Yeah, I don't think the person needs to be alive, because again, remember, it's an energy stream. It can totally be a different gendered person, of course. There are plenty of men whose energy streams I find delicious for all different reasons. You know, I mean, there are some men in my life who have and who anchor more of the divine feminine than the women in my life. 1000%. So it doesn't have to be a person. It can just be an energy stream. That's why I was saying earlier, Candace, sometimes I use people as examples because as a human, it helps us to think about it that way, because it's an embodied example. So we could say, let's just align to the energy stream of love, right? Thank you for sharing it. Her name is Shapar Khaledi, and she's absolutely magnificent. And I've always wanted to be like her since I was little, you know? This is helpful. I'm just reading your comments. Yeah, so the people are like a visual. It's exactly right. So as an example, if I say, let's align to the energy stream of beauty, that's different than saying, you know, let's align to the energy stream of, you know, this particular artist, right? Because it's like, the first is very vague, like, well, how do I do that? The second is, okay, now I'm thinking about a person, I'm thinking about what they create, you know, it gives you something very concrete to focus on. As you get better at this, I don't think you're going to need it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think you're going to need a concrete example. You'll just be like, I need to align to kindness, boom. I need to align to calm under pressure, okay, boom, right? So this is exactly where we're heading. So Lena said, is this where the intentional dreaming comes in? So before you go to sleep, and you can do this with the archetypes too. So you don't even need a person, right? Like the sage is its own archetype, has its own energy stream. You can align to that. The explorer has its own energy, its own you know, vibration. You can align to that. And I want to make sure I'm answering all of your questions. So if I didn't get to your question and it's really pressing, please repeat it, because I think this is a game changer. I really do. And I was excited to bring it forward to you tonight in the context of your dreams, because I think if you do this before you go to sleep, for those of you, because there's quite a few questions, and I want to get into the questions next, and then we'll work on our journals. There's quite a few questions about, like, how do I remember my dreams? Well, this puts you more in the driver's seat of your dreams, because you're giving permission for this work to happen in dream time, which is a better place for it to happen anyway, because this is holographic, subconscious. I mean, this is vibrational. This is not like, this doesn't require your waking state. This requires actually you being a little bit knocked out so that the energies can move, right? So Sheila, that's the work, is to figure out what the vibration is, and to give your energy field permission to align to that frequency, to find that frequency and align to it. And I can sometimes feel like, when I'm like, you know, let's align to the frequency of Shapar, for example, and it's like I can feel myself kind of scanning her field and figuring out where her frequency is, and then I can feel my field kind of adjusting. And then I do notice that that opens certain feelings in my heart, or it leads me to be a little bit more patient in my responses and to not be so reactive. She's not a reactive person. She's very, like, balanced in the way she sees the world. So she's not somebody who would just react to something somebody says. She would, like, take it and reflect. So I notice myself starting to move with more of that frequency as opposed to where I've been. Or the dancer or the vegan or whatever. I just start to notice. It's like, or I also, one time I aligned myself to somebody who had, who I knew ate 6 meals a day, but smaller meals, because I wanted to eat more lightly and give my digestive system a rest. That was one of my areas of focus. Yeah, I would say her energy stream is grace. I bet if I asked her, Lynette, that's what she would say. Hospitality probably is how she would frame it. That's exactly right. And I started to notice that I was genuinely wanting to eat less at my meals. It's like, this is crazy stuff. Like, this is because I'm a big meal person. I like to sit down and eat the whole farkin' thing. You know what I mean? Like, you give me a donut, it's going down. I'm not going to sit there and take one bite out of the donut and push it away. Like, it's going down. How do we figure out the vibration? It's not a figuring out. So once you set the intention, you're at least for me, and again, this is why I'm saying, like, you got to play with this and see how it works for you. But at least for me, once I figure out what the intention is, I give myself permission to align to it, I can feel my field scanning and finding and adjusting and aligning. Like, I can feel the energies kind of moving. There's almost a scanning that happens. Like, okay, what is that? And then becoming. You feel the vibrations, exactly right. Oh, no way. Wow, Janine Gibbons, I was just reading your comment and I literally could visualize it. Not the craziest thing? Like, I could really see it in my mind as I was reading. What a beautiful dream. I love that so much. I'm just reading your comments. Suzanne's got a great question. I'm confused on harvesting. Is it possible we do this without intention? How do we avoid this? Well, here's the thing. People do it without intention all the time. I mean, that's why you got to watch it. And then, you know, in the case of like celebrities and stuff, they end up with stalkers, right? I mean, they end up with people who are literally trying to harvest something, right? They want their, I don't know, they want some piece of that person, right? So that's where it kind of crosses the line. But you see examples of that in popular culture, right? It's like they start by collecting a picture of the person, and then they start like kind of being a little bit more, you know, focused on the person, and then all of a sudden, like, they're in the person's backyard or whatever. Like, I see this in LA all the time. You hear stories of like people doing weird things with celebrities, right? It's really creepy. But you grow up in LA, like, you hear about it all the time, right? As an empath, don't we do this all the time? So picking up on other people's energy is different from taking their energy. Does that make sense? Brittany, it is kind of weird. No, it's real creepy with celebrities. That's why, you know, it's I worry. I mean, I have enough people recognize me when I go out, so I have to be careful enough. But I frankly don't want to be too much more in the public eye, just because I like what I do and kind of how I do it, and I don't want to have to deal with that stuff because it can be really weird sometimes. So how do you know if you're crossing the line? For me, it's about becoming conscious of your process and maintaining your intention, right? Like, I definitely have enough crazy. I mean, for God's sake. I really do. There's some weird in my world. Not here, but like other parts of my world. That's right. That's right. Yeah, and so this isn't, to Cindy's point, you have to do a little bit more than just like pick up on the energy. And training is about aligning to the frequency. And again, there's no karmic consequences of that because you're not taking anything from anyone. In fact, the person who you're in training to probably doesn't even know that you're in training to them, right? It's just because, again, they're driving on the street. If you start driving at the same miles per hour, they're not going to be like, why is that person driving the same, you know, speed I am? Like, that nobody would say that, right? So that's what we're trying to do. It's different than getting out of your car, going over to their car and telling them to get out so that you can have their car. That's kind of the difference, right? You know, it's a great question from Priscilla Ocasio. She asked, you know, what are the signs to identify if someone's done this to you? Feeling drained is one of the signs. And I know it sounds weird to say that, but you can kind of tell when someone's draining from your energy. It's a little bit different than being tired. You know what I mean? And that's one of the reasons why I love concepts of pan protection, right? I give my spirit guides universal permission to protect me. And sometimes they're overprotective, and I know that's kind of the price I pay with that practice, but at the same time, I'd rather be overprotected than underprotected. So I don't struggle with this too much. I mean, I actually have noticed it's the weirdest thing, but I think it's part of what we're talking about. So I never have, and I mean never, well, I shouldn't say never, but maybe it's happened 6 times or maybe in 9 years, had someone really say something like sexually inappropriate to me. You know what I mean? Where I felt kind of, it just never happens. And yet a lot of other people I know who do similar work to what I do, they struggle with it all the time. And it just doesn't happen. Now, I mean, I believe that's because it's not a welcome frequency. And so it's rejected at the outset, right? So there's no space for it to come in. I'm not saying that certain people welcome that, but they don't have maybe the same kind of like protective egg around them that I have set up. Like I feel like I have a little bit of a perimeter. Does that make sense to you at all? I don't know. But I've just noticed like I don't struggle with some of the things other people struggle with. And I think it's because I've allowed this kind of like blanket protection to be in place, which resists or sort of deflects some of those frequencies. Yeah, it really doesn't happen. I mean, and even on Facebook and like simple things, like people say they get these random like friend requests from weird men and stuff. It never happens. Like it just never happens. I don't want it to happen, but it just doesn't happen. So I think you can start to set up some tighter boundaries in your life. And kind of declare energetically what's okay with you. I don't mind if people entrain to my frequency. So I don't resist that. It doesn't take anything from me. Because if they're working this process that we're talking about today, they're not doing anything that I would resist. So, but my frequency exists. And so if people want to entrain to it, they can. Just like you have a frequency and people can entrain to your frequency too. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Or like Saya says, she puts a protective circle around herself at night, right? There is something. Now, some people don't want to be overprotected. That's up to you. I mean, I'm not saying anybody here, but I have had people say, I don't really want to be overprotected. You know what I mean? I kind of want to be more open to what the universe wants to bring and stuff. And it's like, well, I mean, I think that's a choice. I find that I have greater peace when I'm in this little bit of bubble. I like it better. What about during sex? Does harvesting happen? I don't know. What do you think? I think it's easier. I think that's why you got to be careful who you have sex with. I mean, I'm not. It's funny because I'm sexually conservative, even though I'm not a prude. And the only reason I'm sexually conservative, I mean, I wasn't when I was younger, and I went to a lot of rodeos, but I'm more conservative now because of the possibility. People, when you're having sex with someone, they have so much more access to your energy field on every level. And it's really hard to protect when that person is literally, there. So I am often, when I talk to people about sex, they often will say, you're more conservative than I thought you'd be. And it's like, well, but there's a reason. I'm not conservative because of like sexual mores or, morals or anything. I'm conservative because I don't think that that's a good thing to have so many people up in your business. Yeah. But I mean, this is me now. If I had told my younger self that, she would have been like, you're boring. And I'm not going to listen to you. So yeah, opening circles is really important. I do think you stay connected to people when you have a sexual relationship with them. So, it is what it is. But this is how I'm going to teach my kids. What I'm going to teach my kids is you better be sure you want to be connected to that person for a long time. Otherwise, you can hug them. I even think kissing. I mean, this is like a weird conversation. I know we need to get back to business, but I even think kissing. I think kissing is a radical portal that people don't understand. There's some research to suggest that that's true. And in ancient times, I mean, do you ever think about your tongue? Do you ever think about like the roof of your mouth? And I mean, there's portals in your mouth. So I even think kissing crosses a line. I think you have to think about who you're kissing too. I know I'm taking all the fun out of everything. Yeah, but certain portals are portals. Every contact's an energy exchange, but you start putting your tongue in people's mouth, and that's as much as putting other things other places too. I don't know, Susan Moore. I mean, I kind of think you are connected to them forever. I think when you have sex with someone, it alters your DNA. We should do a PAM protection ceremony. Would you guys like that? I think we should. I'll line that up. I'll take a look at my calendar. Okay. I think that'll be fun, especially as we head into the dark season in the north, you know, which we're going to be turning the wheel on Saturday. Isn't that crazy that Saturday is Lammas? I also want to talk about the Lion's Gate for not too long tonight, but just for a minute. Okay, so it is. We will, Alexis, you and I will put our heads together and sort that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I believe me, I'm not one to tell you like not to kiss people and not to have sex with them. But I just think it needs to be a conscious decision because it's more than just playing. You know what I mean? So as long as you are like, no, I'm good. I want to have a sustainable connection with this person. I think it's great. Let me go into the questions really quick for a few minutes. Lisa was saying she dreams better when she naps than at night. So, and that's possible. I don't think there's really a boundary on it. You just need to go into REM state, right? Rapid eye movement, in order to dream. So if you dream more when you nap, then that, you know, you do your magic when you nap. And so, you know, I think it's worth maybe trying to nap more, right? Ooh, Susan J, we should talk. Might not be time for it tonight, but I'll get back around to you. She's got Sun and Moon in the 10th house in Sag, and she doesn't want to be in the public eye. Maybe not now. I don't know how you avoid it with that profile. We can talk about it. Susan Harris said, I often dream about houses, and there's always one room that I get scared when I'm at. Recently, I've been dreaming about being in a mall, lots of stores. She's trying to find the candy store. She dreams about houses that she's lived in before. I'm just there and walking around. It occurred to me that what if the people that I live there now are seeing me as if I were a ghost? Is that possible? I don't think they're seeing you there as a ghost. But I do think that sometimes, right? I do think that sometimes we're trying to resolve what isn't resolved in our life during dream time. And, you know, going from place to place, moving from room to room, maybe about literally trying to create space or expand outward from where you are. Maybe needing to feel less contained could be part of it too. And then you might think about, for each one of these dreams that you're talking about, which archetype would this be? Is this the explorer archetype, right? So does that mean when you're having this dream, especially patterned dreams where you guys are seeing kind of a consistent thing, one of the things I want to encourage you to think about is look at the patterns of the dreams, right? I always have a dream about X, right? Things that are consistent for you. And then I want you to think about which archetype is activated, right? In the dreams that you're focusing on, in the patterned dreams. And then what you would want to do is maybe think about working with the opposite archetype to balance it, and ask that you re-enter that dream from the place of the balance archetype. Does that make sense? Tell me what confused you, Scout. It's interesting, right? So interesting. So yeah, so give yourself permission to go back into that dream, and in order to figure it out, go in from the other archetype, one of the other archetypes, consciously. So if that's the explorer that's been running around all these rooms, try going in as the sage. Wouldn't that be interesting? What balances explorer is sage, ruler, and jester. Like, send the jester in there. Right? Okay, good. It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I find this stuff fascinating. And it gives you, again, I'm trying to give you tools. Oh, don't worry. Okay. I'm trying to give you tools that you can use so that you can really crack the code on these things. And sometimes it's about consciously saying, I'm going to go back into that house. Send in the clowns. That's right, Lynette. You cracked me up. Lisa and Joe said, as a child, I always dreamt of a two-headed serpent. I've dreamed this much. Any new insights to share with me? Okay, so then this is another one, Lisa. or you're going to want to go in with a different archetype. Okay. I was always able to do special things during my dream time in childhood, but couldn't control my dreams. I also suffered from prophetic dreams and begged God to remove them. It came with headaches. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, you're very sweet. Thank you for your comments, by the way. So, I think growing up changes our sleep patterns significantly. I think growing up also shifts your archetypal alignment too. You know what I mean? Like, I can see how my dreams, my archetypal dream, perspective has shifted since I was a kid. I think I have activated more and more and more of those southern archetypes, those fire archetypes as I've gotten older. I'm much more of a northern archetypal focus as a kid in general, but also in my dreams. And so I've noticed the shift from earth to fire. And then when I need to balance, I notice that when I go back into the fire archetypes, I feel better. I feel more aligned. So I think it's about, using this first elementally and then go around the wheel. Again, if you find that you're always in the serpents, two-headed serpent and eating each other and stuff, I would call that a creator archetype in the East, potentially. Could also be a rebel archetype in the South. And so that'll give you a clue, Lisa, about which other archetypes to invite into the dream space to help you sort that or reconcile that. So recurring tornado or storm dreams, I would say, is air, which is going to be balanced by water. So then you'd want to go into those dreams with the magician, lover, or caregiver archetype. How does the lover show up to a storm? How does a caregiver show up to a storm? Versus a creator or a hero, very differently, right? One's going to work with it in a more potentially like physical kind of, even potentially more violent way, and the other one's going to work with it in a completely different way, right? This is super interesting. Yeah, I growing up, the only consistent scary dream I had is I would have these dreams where I was in my bedroom, but I was on the ceiling. Like I could scale the walls, and I could actually be on the ceiling, like looking down at my bed. And I would often start to feel like something trying to pull me off the ceiling, like trying to loosen my, like get me off. It hasn't happened to me in a long time. Have you ever had these dreams too? It's really interesting, isn't it? And I would be really scared because I knew I could scale the walls, but I didn't know what would happen if something pulled me off the ceiling. And have you had dreams of being on the ceiling? It's so interesting, isn't it? I never felt scared. I just felt like I had these other abilities. I could just climb the walls and be on the ceiling if I wanted to be. Almost like it was still me, but it almost had like an insect feeling to it. Like I could just climb up the walls or like hang on the ceiling or whatever. Really interesting. So then again, what archetype is that? It's probably explorer archetype, right? So then, I would want to balance that, like maybe go back into that dream as a jester. Like what's funny about that, right? Or a ruler, like going into that dream with more of my own like power activated, right? So that I could resist that, whatever that. It didn't feel like a good thing trying to get me off the ceiling. So that's why it was a scary dream. Okay, and then going back into the questions, Maureen said, I rarely remember my dreams. I'm using Morpheus perfume, setting up an intention. Is there anything else I can do to remember? I think this is going to help you. I really do. That's partly why I was so excited about tonight's class. And then when I saw your questions too, I was like, oh, this lines up just perfectly. Oh, it's so interesting, you guys. Priscilla, can we talk more about Morpheus? I relate to the orphan archetype I have all my life, as if I didn't belong to my parents. Seriously, still do. Connected to abandonment, even though I grew up with both my parents. Feels past life to me a little bit, Priscilla, for you. Doesn't feel like it's connected to what's happening in this life. So she's asking more about Carl Jung and so forth. So remember, Morpheus's parents, she was asking about his bloodline. Morpheus's father is Hypnos, who's the god of sleep. Morpheus is the god of dreams, and his mother is the god of relaxation. Remember that? And so when you combine relaxation with sleep, you get dreams because you have to be ultimately relaxed to fall into a REM state. And so, one of the things that you can do, especially as an orphan archetype, is called reparenting, right? Where you consciously go back into your past and figure out where you have felt, either mistreated or abandoned or whatever it is, and consciously bring attention and energy to that feeling so that you reconcile where you were not parented appropriately. And again, that doesn't have to be in this lifetime. It could be that that's carrying over from another lifetime. I've had a lot of people, by the way, Priscilla, who have had the best parents in this lifetime, like full on, like Brady Bunch, like everything was perfect, and have felt utterly abandoned. And I really think it's past life. You know what I mean? You feel lost. Talk to me, Kiona. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, all of your dream experiences. And then I want you to start to, if you're willing to do it, I want you to start to document it. And after you document a dream, I want you to identify the archetype. You know what I mean? So it's like, here's the dream. Okay, I think I'm dreaming this because I'm activating this energy stream. What you're basically doing when you do this exercise, which is why I wanted to teach you the piece around entrainment, is you're consciously entraining to a different archetype. So you're noticing what archetype might be inhabiting your dreams, and then you're consciously choosing to approach that dream from a different archetypal perspective in order to understand it better. Does that make sense? Outer space dreams. I think outer space dreams are lucid. I do. I think outer space dreams are very lucid. Mm-hmm. So if you identify the archetype in the dream, then what you can do if you want to understand more about it, then you can ask to go back into that dream on another night with a different archetypal lens. Does that make sense? What if you don't remember them at all? Go in as the opposite? Yeah, so we have to figure out which archetype is being represented by the dream or what you're aligning to in the dream, and then you can figure out what the opposite is. You have to start with that first observation first. Okay. Roxy says, I often have experienced dreams of awful things. I'm not afraid during these things. Sometimes I solve them. Other times I'm the victim or the observer. I don't know what these things mean to me. It's possible that you're having visionary dreams of things happening to other people. I mean, there are people who have those dreams and then are actually shown real information that they go and, I have a friend who's a psychic and she does that work. She does dream interpretation for, but her dreams are prophetic for other people. And then she shares that information. So she uses her dream time really consciously for clients. So it could be that you're having dreams of other people. If you start having stronger boundaries, those boundaries pertain to your dreams as well. I very rarely have a nightmare. I can't remember the last time I had a dream that was really bad. They get weird AF. I'm not saying that all my dreams are like perfect, great dreams. They're fucking bizarre. I tell Dave about him and he doesn't want to know. Remember that? Like giant green rabbits, on swings and like just why, just weird stuff. But I don't really have nightmares. So Amy, that's the analysis part, and Sheila. So there's no exact like, oh, this dream is this archetype. So you just have to ask yourself. That's why I want you to go through your worksheets and look at the descriptions of each one, and then ask yourself which archetype is most likely to be experiencing this dream. And it may not always line up exactly, right? But it'll get you close. And that'll help you understand what the balancing archetype is there too. Diane was asking why she can't remember her dreams. I think this is going to help. Lori was asking, what if a person doesn't dream at all? I think you are dreaming but not remembering. So that's why this work with Morpheus is so important, because it's about getting you to hold, to make those dreams sticky so that you can then remember them. Yeah, I see. Sandy said her childhood was crazy, chaotic, no one to get us out. And that's part of, honestly, Sandy, why I worry about kids right now. who have to be home, and may have to be home through, the end of the calendar year, because I worry about kids in those situations, and school was an escape for them, and part of me wishes I could go and just rescue all of them. I feel most scared, Terry, for abused children and abused partners in relationships who can't get out. That is where my heart has been the most heavy. I feel sad for people going through the pandemic. It's terrible, but I think the dynamics can set up people having to stay in abusive situations without any help and very little hope. Yeah, sometimes home is not a safe space for people. And a lot of times, child abuse is only diagnosed by school officials. I mean, I can tell you that with my background in education. Most instances of child abuse are diagnosed at school. Kids coming in with a bruise, or, unable to stop crying, right? I remember going in and being a room mom for my daughter's class when she was in kindergarten. And there was a little girl in there who was telling me all these things, I would tell a story, and the little girl would say, well, my mom doesn't do that. My mom's angry all the time. My mom doesn't make things. My mom, it's just like the things kids will tell you. And so if there's nobody to say those things to, you know what I mean? So it's just add those folks to your prayers at night. That's one of the big challenges, I think, right now. Deborah said, I normally don't remember my dreams, but every night since the Lionsgate portal opened, I have dreamt. Is this due to the portal or just a coincidence? I don't know. I think it could be the portal. I think it could be the energy of the Lionsgate, which I'm going to talk to you about in just a second. Stephanie Brown, I'm currently in both the lover and the caregiver archetype, so she's up in that water quadrant. I'm a mother of 3 children under 6. 2 out of 3 are special needs. Ooh, my Lord, Stephanie, you have my heart and my support. It's so challenging, but beautiful too at the same time, right? I mean, she said, I'm learning how to be a more authentic mother and serve my children without being overbearing and overwhelming myself. Doing so is difficult, especially doing it with grace. She said, last December I became a single mother. In February this year, my first love returned. My doubts arise with being so distant. How do we build relationships as a lover archetype if we can't physically see one another? I love this month's class. The lover archetype, none of these archetypes require a physical connection, right? And one of the things I love about dream work too, especially in your situation, I mean, you guys could become very conscious about your dream work, agreeing to, to sort of dream walk into each other's dreams and to explore your relationship there. Because when you have a partner and you have permission, you can do that. It's not unethical. I mean, you don't want to dream walk into everybody's dreams, but you and your partner could agree to dream walk together a little bit. And then you can work with that lover archetype in your dream space, which on the energetic, on the astral plane will help to prepare you for when you can engage more of your relationship in person. I think it's really awesome. And bless you and your babies. Tiffany said, so since the Lionsgate is open, I dream and remember. Isn't that funny? A lot of people are remembering their dreams during the Lionsgate. She said, my dreams always has something tragic in it. Could this be from held trauma? Was the message clear? Bad things are coming. Seems like my husband will lose his job right after we move into the new house, which I already stress and have some fear of doing. Is one feeding the other? How do I learn to understand what's a message and what's a replay of trauma in a different form? That's been my big work this year, and I've taught this to you too, is learning how to not rehearse trauma. If trauma is going to happen in your life, it should only happen once. It shouldn't happen 6 times because you've already worried about it 5 times and then it happens, right? So let's experience trauma once is my rule. And this has been my personal work, because I was raised by worrying parents, but I think all immigrant parents worry. But mine were like Olympic warriors, like they could have won medals for this. And so I find myself worrying about every single thing, but this is where my work on trusting the universe happens. But I also don't rehearse trauma. So I think one thing is the Lionsgate is helping. So the Lionsgate is when the sun comes into alignment with, or when the star Sirius, comes into alignment with the earth. And the star Sirius is twice as big as the sun, 26 times brighter. than the sun. It's a very powerful star. It's the North Star. It's the star that guided the wise men to find the Christ child in the manger in the Bible. It is Christ consciousness, the energy of the star Sirius. They call it the Lion's Gate because the Lion's Gate happens during the time when during the Leo period. Between July 26th is when the gate opened, and then it will close on the 12th. So it all happens within the period, the Leo period in the astrological calendar. Sirius is a masculine star in my experience, but it's because of that Christ element. It's got a duality to it, but it's a soft masculine is the way I would describe Sirian energy. And we talked about the Sirian, descendants of that star system. Remember when I taught you star seeds too? So some people really connect to Sirian energy, but it is a recoding of your DNA. That's what's happening right now, and you don't have to think about it, pay attention to it. The reason I do ceremony is to get your conscious attention on it. That's why we're doing. I'm pre-recording it, but I'm launching it on the 7th so that you can play it on the 8th. But the reason that we do ceremony of it around it is to bring your conscious attention to it, because anything you're consciously aware of, you can work with more directly. And so I do think there's a relationship between this big Stargate being open, which is realigning you. I mean, what a perfect time, by the way, to entrain during a star activation. Like, this is the ultimate time to figure out what you want to entrain to for the rest of the year. I would recommend entraining also to an energy stream of health. That would be one way of really building up your energetic immune system. So make sure that you stay fully entrained to someone who is healthy and does not have the virus. That's another sort of level of protection that you can create around you right now. And then Sheree finally asked, I feel like with the archetypes, I'm both water and air. I'm more air than water with that one. With the priestess archetypes, can you give a little more info and advice on how to work with several at a time? And so this is a great question too. And you may find, so as you, that's why I think tonight's teaching is so helpful, and hopefully Sheree, you're finding a lot of connections there. I think if you look at the different archetypes, it's very possible you could be working a fire archetype and an air archetype at the same time. And so when you go to balance those, then you're going to have to look across the wheel from both. Does that make sense? But you can fully work with, I mean, very few people are just one element, right? I mean, I'm fire, sun, and moon, but I'm air rising, right? And my Mars is in fire, but my Mercury is in Cancer, it's in water, right? And my North Node is in an Earth sign. So I do have some of the other elements in my chart. So I'm not just fire. And I can easily slip into the other archetypes depending on what part of my chart is being activated in my dream. So there's like levels and layers of this where it gets more complicated, and I'm really glad that you asked that question because none of us is really one. And so it's a great opportunity for me, Sheree, to mention that as well. Is that good? You guys feel like you know what you're doing now? Okay, so let's get our journals out. So, and I'm very lucky because Hannah on my team kickstarted mine. Hannah has the best handwriting on the planet. She really does. And I found this out because she wrote me a birthday card like 3 years ago, I think. And I was trying to read her card, but I couldn't get over the handwriting. Like, I literally was so focused on how she writes. So I'm going to change the camera now. I'm going to say goodbye to you from the full screen, and I'm going to focus a little bit more down here. I want to release our tools as well. So we're not going to do a ton of decorating tonight, but I wanted to do just a little bit, and I'm going to... So I'm going to light up some charcoal because I do want to burn some of these beautiful herbs tonight. With my new torch, I'll get that charcoal going real fast. So fun. Burn it. On fire. I think it's pretty well lit. I'm going to butane myself. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to put just a little bit of our lucid dreaming herbs on here. Candace, are you trying to get me to see a question? Can you put it in here again, or I'll have Alexis look for it? I thought I saw you said you were trying to get me to answer something, but I'm not sure. So just make sure you let us know. And if I don't get to it tonight, I can always get to it during our debrief tomorrow. I try to answer all your questions in the feed, but there's a lot and it goes fast. So bear with me if I ever miss anything. It's not intentional. It's just old eyes. Hi, Alana, and welcome in, by the way. Alexis will be able to help you to figure out which tools you're getting. I'm excited for you, though. If you don't remember your dreams, how do we get into dreams as a different archetype? So, well, here's my hypothesis, Candace, and I could be wrong, so go with me on this. I actually think as you set the intention to do this work, as you start to align to different energy streams and write down which archetype you want to embody as you go into your dream time, I think you're going to start remembering more. That's my theory. That's what prompted tonight's whole discussion in the first place. I'm going to anoint with some Morpheus. So my theory is, you start doing this, you're going to become, this is how you create more intention around your dream time. This is the how. One of the things I've really tried to do in Soul Shift is not just talk about what, but talk about how. So not just talk about entrainment to energy streams, but how do you do that? What does that actually look like? Like boots on the ground. What's the actual process, right? Yeah, no, so this actually I think will be great, Candace, for people who don't remember. So again, a little bit your third eye for what you know. Always anoint here, your wrists and your ankles, because these cover all of the meridians and energy lines. I think this is going to be the key to getting people to remember. And then from there, we go from there. Okay. Am I doing that right? Okay. So, in my journal, I have these little pages that she set up for me. One of the things you could do with your stickers, by the way, she set this up for dream interpretation, but what you could do with your stickers, you could actually use this as a column, and you could each night say, during sleep time I'm going to embody this archetype, and then during my wake time I'm going to try to embody this archetype. And maybe it's the same for both, but maybe you consciously start to differentiate them. So that actually may end up being how I use these columns, because I do want to become more intentional about how I work with the archetypes, both in my sleep time and in my wake time too. So what I want to encourage you to do, I want you to take a moment right now if you have your journal, and I want you to, there's my pen. I want you to take a moment and I want you to write down some key takeaways from tonight. Put them in here. What are some things that you learned from today's class that you're going to start to incorporate into your practice? So for me, I'm going to write 3 class takeaways. So for me, the first one is I'm going to, how do I want to do this? I'm going to begin by identifying my desired archetype for dreams each night before bed. Are you taking notes? No, the stickers didn't come with your journal. They were a little extra on the website if you wanted them. We produced them after we sent your journals as just as a fun little add-on. So, and we have them on the website if you want them. You don't have to have them, but if you have them. There are some interesting ones. Related to the work that we're doing tonight, so I think you might want to, if you have them, you want to start working with them. And the second one is I'm going to identify a specific energy stream I want to align to for that night's dreams. And then I'm going to give myself permission to align to that energy. And then I'm going to record my dreams in the morning. Noting the archetype or archetypes present in the dream. And how they relate to the energy I'm trying to align to. Kind of fun, right? And then what I want to do is I'm going to take the inspiration sticker from my sheet, if you have that and you want to do this too. If you don't, just write inspiration. I just like stickers, and honestly, I just like stickers. So I'm going to take the inspiration sticker, I'm going to put it at the top of my page here. And actually was thinking I wanted to use these crystal stickers too, so I'll show you what I'm doing in just a second. I'm going to take the, there's some green crystals on either side of the inspiration sticker, and I'm going to put them next to that word, because it'll look really pretty. And I know it's kind of silly in a way to like be putting stickers in a journal and stuff like that. Like I know we're not 10, and but honestly, what I have found in my spiritual work is the more I play, the and the more I don't take everything so seriously, the better my life goes. So this is my inspiration page. Yeah, and just remember, because I may not be able to get to all of your questions, because I do want to do some crafting with you guys. So if there's a question I don't get to, I will try to respond to it for you tomorrow too. Is there a way to shut off nightmares and sleep paralysis before they begin? I don't think so. I think the best thing you can do, I'm going to make a bold statement, okay? Bold statement. And when I make a bold statement, you should always know, I don't mind if you disagree with me actively and say, you know what, I think you're wrong. I think this is ridiculous. I couldn't disagree with you more. Like, I don't mind that, because I know when I make a bold statement that it's controversial, okay? I have never, and I've known probably, hundreds of people with sleep paralysis. I don't want to say thousands, but it's at least hundreds, okay? All of them needed better spiritual protection measures. I know it's a bold statement. I have not met anyone with really strong spiritual protection measures in place who has experienced intense sleep paralysis. And I have experienced a lot of people who have sleep paralysis, and it's a sign to them that they are unprotected. That's my theory. I don't know. And again, it's not a judgment, because at the end of the day, how do you know if your protection is strong enough, right? So Kiana said, I used to experience sleep paralysis. It's been a good 4 years since I experienced that after leaving my ex, and they were extremely bad. But look at that, Kiana. Here's the other thing I have noticed. I have noticed people having sleep paralysis, and it's not their lack of protection, it's the partner. Partners can create portals, folks. So one of the things I've done, just because candidly Dave's spiritual practice is not as stringent as mine, is he has given me permission to protect the bedroom, which subsumes us both. And I was just like, because I'm not, he's done this in our whole relationship, but if I'm getting into bed with somebody and I'm going to sleep with them, they better have some darn good measures in place. So I do the protection work for us both, and I have his permission to do that. Yeah. People who have sleep disturbance problems in a severe way need much stronger protection measures in place. Okay, back to crafting. Sorry, we can continue this conversation tomorrow. I know it's so good, but then tonight's a crafting class, and I feel like if we don't craft, then then I didn't like give you your money's worth. But I actually really want to do this. So on the inspiration page, if you want to do this with me, I want you to write down, and I want this to be stream of consciousness. Okay, don't overthink this one. Don't Martha Stewart this one. This does not have to be perfect. This does not have to be comprehensive. I want you to write 10 words, because this is going to help you understand what energy streams you want to align to. I want you to write 10 words that inspire you. What inspires you in other people, in other relationships, in, I don't know, mostly people in relationships, right? What inspires you? No, I'm serious. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to write mine down. So I'm inspired by generosity, hugely inspired by generosity. I'm inspired by unnecessary kindness. I'm inspired by beauty. I'm inspired by wisdom, not intelligence. People can fake intelligence. They can't fake wisdom. You know what I mean? I call it a marshmallow. Have I taught you that? I used to do it with my doctoral students. I used to be like, don't come at me as a marshmallow. You know, quoting statistics and this and that and using big words and all, because I was like, as soon as I push on you, there's nothing there. I don't buy a marshmallow. That's intelligence. Intelligence can be like, look how smart I am. And then you push on it and it's like, there's nothing there. Authenticity, me too. I love people who are just full on who the F they are. And they don't care. They don't care what you think of them or their clothes or their attitude or their whatever. Sovereignty, I like that too. I am very inspired by sovereignty. I'm inspired by humor. Humor inspires me. Somebody who can make me laugh, like, just has me. You know what I mean? Ambition, transparency. I like transparency too. I'm inspired by transparency. I'm also inspired by openness, like openness to new ideas, openness to new perspectives. So then what I would do if I didn't already have a person or an example of this, if for me, what I would do is I would look at this list and I would ask myself, who or what embodies all of this, has these qualities? And then I would try to give myself permission to find that frequency and then align my frequency to it. Give my body and my spirit permission to find that frequency and align to it. And then this keeps you accountable too, because you can look and say, am I acting with generosity and unnecessary kindness? Am I, bringing beauty to the world? Do I show up with wisdom? Am I authentic? And this is kind of your gauge or your test of, is it working, right? Am I sovereign? Do I bring humor? Am I transparent? Am I open? Am I open to new ideas and new perspectives? Or am I being too rigid? And so this becomes the test, right? It can be a totally fictional. That's right, Andrea, because here's the thing. It doesn't have to be a person. It really doesn't. It's helpful if it is a person, only so that it gives you like a physical thing to think about. But it doesn't have to be. Each one of those things has its own frequency. Beauty has a frequency. Wisdom has a frequency. These are energy lines. And so you don't even need a person to align to it. But if you know somebody who has all of those qualities, then it's kind of like, it's an interesting experiment, right? Yeah, no, when your stickers come, you're going to have so much fun. I just thought the way Hannah incorporated, look how she did this one. Isn't that inspiring? So she took the stickers and then drew little boxes. Isn't that fun? So good. Seriously. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to do with my journal tonight, so I'm going to flip this down over here, is I wanted to show you, probably won't do it now because we're at time, so I'm probably going to do this on my own, and I'll follow up and show you the end result later. So these, actually it's probably easier to show it to you this way. I went on Etsy and I bought these little vintage rhinestones. I really want to show you, so I'm going to come up to the camera. I'm going to get like awkwardly close to you for a minute, but I'm just so stoked about them. If you want to know the little shops where these came from, I don't mind sharing that. Where's the little heart one? What? Oh man. There are these ladies on Etsy who have these wicked little rhinestone shops, and I fell down a rabbit hole one night. Like, look at that one. Can you see it? It's like a little, it's almost like a little, what do they call these? When those stones are cut like this, it's hard to show it to you. Anyway, and they have gold on the back. So these fancy little rhinestone shops, and then the team gave me these little ones. They found these on Etsy too. Look at these little bebop. Isn't that cute? So I'm going to put little rhinestones on the front of mine. But I'll do that later, and then I'll show you afterward. So you can rhinestone yours up too. I love rhinestones. I know they're not crystals and they don't have any vibrational value and blah, 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 but I like them and I think they're pretty. No, and then my order came. She shipped everything really quickly. And my order came, and there's a sweetest little note in there, and she sent me these little extra gifts and stuff. Like, not everybody does that. So I was just like, you have a customer for life. I thought her rhinestones were the prettiest little things. Now, the glue I'm going to use is tacky glue. So if you want to, and then I'm gonna apply them with tweezers. My tweezers are here somewhere. When my tweezers go dull, I pluck my eyebrows. When my tweezers go dull, I save them for crafting, because this is the perfect tool for picking up little rhinestones and applying them. So if they don't do your fine little eyebrows anymore, like these are old, so they're dull, but I don't throw them away because these are perfect for crafting. Yep. That's true, right, Bonnie? I mean, beauty is energy. Beauty is energy. Pretty things have energy. It does have a vibration. It's really true. Everything has a vibration. That's why it's really funny when people are like, oh, well, I don't like glass things because it doesn't have a vibration. And it's like, yeah, I mean, in a strict sense, you're correct, but in a broader sense, you're wrong. Okay, so I'm going to flip the camera and we're going to deconsecrate our tools for the month and release them. What is still coming to you, by the way, is your beautiful necklace, which we had custom made for you, and your pillar. They are stuck in a red zone in India. In many places, even since March, they still are not allowed to open or ship any products. And it's an absolutely devastating situation. I don't even know what's going on in India. I thought the US was messed up. India's got things 1,000 times worse than we do. So please keep praying for India. It's a big deal. They are coming. It's just like getting it out of India is really hard. I'm so glad. Didn't that journal turn out beautiful? And what's really cool about this journal, did I tell you this already? The man who made these journals, they're handmade, your journals. And his wife, her business is ethically sourcing sari ribbon. So this is his wife. We were able to support his wife's business by having her do the sari ribbons, and her husband. And they loved the art. They were so inspired. When we asked them to make this is, an ancient representation, not ancient, but, I think this is 400 years old representation of Morpheus. So anyway, it was just a really exciting, it's beautiful when we can bring you beautiful things, but it also supports people, like a husband and wife and their small business too, which is really exciting. Okay, so what we are letting go of tonight are our perfumes, our dream pillow. I'm not going to deconsecrate my journal because I'm going to continue to work with it for this, and I'm not going to deconsecrate my candle because my candle, I brought it in here for tonight, but this candle I burn in my bedroom every night. So I'm still gonna, and I'm probably not gonna deconsecrate my eye pillow either. I have to say, you guys, would you mind if we didn't deconsecrate our tools? Let me just ask you this. I want to continue to work with all these tools for exactly the purpose we're doing right now. And the only time you deconsecrate tools is when you want to work with them for other reasons. Are you okay if we don't deconsecrate? Are there some of you who are going to take these tools and not use them for this? Like, I just assume you're going to keep working with these tools for your Dreamtime experiences. Right? I mean, this is, and what's kind of cool is I love this because this is the first month where I've thought, no, I think I just want to keep working with it all. Okay, if you guys are on the same page. So you deconsecrate, Alana. It's a great question, and so I'm glad we're having the conversation. You deconsecrate when you're not going to work with these tools for this purpose anymore, which allows you to just use them anytime, anywhere, for anything. So let's say I wanted to take that candle down to my kitchen, and I'm not using it for dream work or dream anything. I'm just burning it because it's pretty and it's in my kitchen. I would want to deconsecrate the candle. Does that make sense? So you literally just, you go around the circle. So and you'll see us consecrate our tools next month. So then you'll see the consecration. The consecration, you go around. So let me show you. So this is an elemental mat, right? North, south, east, and west. In the north, we put our stones. In the east, we put our herbs. So your herbs and your eye pillow. In the south, we put our candle. And in the west, we put our oils. So when we're dedicating our tools each month, we go from east to north, and we dedicate the tools to the work that we're doing. And then when we deconsecrate, we go counterclockwise around. And we just consciously say that we release these tools from their service to this purpose so that it allows them energetically to not be bound to that purpose anymore. Does that make sense? I think this is really cool, you guys. It's for me, this is one of the first sets of class tools that I can candidly tell you I'm going to be working with for this exact purpose for quite a long time. No, we haven't consecrated your quartz pillar because it's not here yet. It's kind of hard to consecrate something when you don't have it. But when it gets here, we can go back through and consecrate so that your tools are all dedicated to this work. Isn't that kind of cool? So neat. Wait, the broadcast is gone? Can you guys see me okay? TCB says it's gone. No, I think I'm still here. No way, did you see that? Vanya in our group is an incredible artist, and she said, many of you like the images of my artwork that I post. Feel free to print small and use as collage pieces in your journal. Okay, good. Vanya, that is the most generous offering. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I have so much respect for artists, and I would never have even thought to do that because I would want your permission. And so how awesome are you? It makes me want to cry. That's a huge gift because Vanya posts her beautiful artwork in the group, and so how fun, because her artwork is the perfect collage pieces for this journal. Perfect. Oh, Sheila, I'm so happy. She just came over from Crystal Masters. This is her first Soul Shift class. I'm so glad you liked it. This is what Soul Shift's like. It's a little different from Crystal Masters. But I'm so glad you had a good time tonight. Thank you for that. Yeah, and if any of you have, I don't know, things like that, maybe you write poems and you're willing to share a poem that we could cut out and include, or maybe, I don't know, other artists in the group, if you want to share a snapshot and give us permission that we could print it. I just think that's very cool. That's what sisters are for. And that's right. Tanya said you could print them on sticker paper, and then you could actually, you're so smart, Tanya. That is so smart. Or you can get like what I like to do is like the Avery labels, but it's like the whole page. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have the lines, and then you can cut like that. So fun. And by the way, we're open to making different kinds of stickers. Gabriel had a lot of fun. Gabriel and Co. I think it actually might have been, was it Rachel who made the stickers? I can't remember who on the team made these. I want to give them proper credit. But they did have fun making them. And so if you guys are like, I want a whole page of just moons, or I want, whatever it is, like, we would love to be creatively inspired too. So if you have, I think we're going to keep going with like the 3-page packs. So these are at sagegoddess.com. If you want them. We put more in stock today because they sold out. and your code is gold19 if you want them. And then if you have other ideas, you can let us know. No, if you leave Soul Shift, you have to leave the Facebook group too, because the Facebook group is one of the benefits of being in the group. But then when you come back, you can come back in. So if you leave Soul Shift and you go just to Crystal Masters, you get to stay in the Crystal Masters group, but not in the Soul Shift group. Because we share a lot of the content, and I share a lot of teaching in the group that's intended for students in the class. That's a great question, though. Yeah, so let us know if you have other ideas for stickers, too. I know, you know what I want to make? I want to make magical holiday labels, like the To From, but awesome ones that you would actually like to put on packages. You know how most of them are like Santa or whatever, and they're not cute. I want to make magical gift tags. That's what I'm thinking about for the holidays, so we'll see. Okay, so the stickers are there. Be sure that you get the Heliodor. We talked about this. Don't miss the Heliodor. I don't often tell you like not to miss something, but that Heliodor is special, and I don't have a backup supply. So if you miss the Heliodor, which is the Sunshine Optimism Stone, that's something you may want to consider adding to your collection into your crystal healing tray. I actually didn't put a piece of mine on my healing tray yet. I'm going to do that tonight. So enjoy. So with that, session 4 of July. Can you believe it? July! When I ring this little cutie pie bell again, we're going to be at session 1 August. That's crazy to me. Session 1 August. All right, Alexis, do you see these ideas? These are super great ideas. Crystal balls, crowns, unicorns, elementals, magical symbols. I think we've got a long list of inspiration, Alexis. This is awesome. So anyway, thank you guys for being here. I'm glad you had a good time. I had a great time with you tonight. But you're not done with me yet. We have class tomorrow. We have, do we only have one class tomorrow? I need to look at my schedule. Why do I feel like we have 2 classes tomorrow? No, just one class tomorrow. So I will be seeing you from 2:30 to 3:30 Pacific time for our coaching and debrief session. I'm very, very excited about that. And I hope you're excited about it too. And I'll do my best to make space for any questions that you have in the moment too. And then remember, whatever questions I don't, because some of you are new, so the debrief and coaching is where you submit questions each month. There's a hashtag for it in our Facebook group. And then Alexis gathers them all up, and I answer every single one. And so I do a live 1 hour, and I answer as many as I can in that 1 hour. And then I do an audio follow-up that I usually post the next day. And so if I don't answer your question in the live face-to-face, I answer your question in the audio follow-up. So always make sure if you have a question that you include it and use the hashtag so I can respond to you too. Yeah, and then if you miss it live, that's okay. You can always listen to the repeat later. So Ovid, thank you, Dr. Chris. So here's what I wanted to tell you. So the reason we haven't done Ovid in a while is I usually do it on the weekend. The 18th was my wedding anniversary. The 25th, I was live with you because we had the SG anniversary. And this Saturday, I'm live with you because it's Lammas. So we're going to pick up Ovid when I finally get to a weekend where I don't have massive things going on. I really haven't had like a full day break of like just not doing anything, not having a ton of stuff going on in about 3 weeks. So the weekend of the 7th is my birthday weekend. I might actually take that whole weekend off. I'm thinking about it because I haven't really had a break and we didn't take a vacation this year. And that's okay. We're not taking a vacation. It's fine. But I think I might take the whole weekend of the 7th off. So my plan is to pick up Ovid probably the weekend of the 14th because I don't have any events. I don't have any birthdays. I don't have any anniversaries. I don't have anything. I know, and your birthday too, Lena. So anyway, I miss Ovid too. I want to get back to it, but I'm trying to find like a little space in my situation. So I would plan. It's probably going to be another 3 weeks, and then we'll get into a weekly rhythm with Ovid again because I do love it and I love reading to you. Yeah, all I get for my birthday this year is a break because we're not doing gifts and we can't go out to dinner. So what I want for my birthday this year is I want to have really yummy delivery food and I want to eat it in my bed. That's my big birthday celebration this year. And happy early birthday to you, Larissa. Really, really happy birthday to you. No, you're not too late. Let me grab my book actually to show you. I may have to climb under my bed for a second. Hold on. Be right back. Stick my butt in your face. This is Ovid. That's Ovid right there. And it's the Metamorphoses. I hate donuts. I know, that's what I want. So this is a book you can get on Amazon. You don't have to have it because I'm reading it to you. So you do not have to have it yourself. I literally sit and go line by line and read it to you, and so you can follow along with me so you don't have to have it. I know I would give you full tushy cam, sorry. But anyway, so if you want to join with us, you can. This is, I don't know how much it is on Amazon. Does anybody know how much this is? You can get a used version of it too. You don't have to have a brand new version. It's up to you. But what Ovid's Metamorphoses is they're all stories of change. People who have changed forms, you know what I mean? Like people literally changing from human to animal, people changing situations, people changing, you know, I don't know, all different forms of change. And so we've gone through, is it about $17? We are right now are on page 64. And if you want to know where Morpheus is in Ovid's Metamorphoses, less than 10? Okay, good. Morpheus is mentioned, actually, in the story called The House of Sleep. And it starts on page 394, talks about the poppy blooms and everything, and goes until 397. It says, the father passed these by and chose from all his offspring Morpheus to do the task Iris had ordered. Having done so, he repaired immediately to his couch and closed his eyes. His chin fell to his breast. Time for old sleep to get a little rest. So that was Morpheus's father, Hypnos, being referenced in Ovid's Metamorphoses. Isn't that exciting? Okay, did you see what Alexis posted? Alexis knows how to get books. She's really good at getting books. And so she said you can get it for $3.99 at thriftbooks.com. I don't know of a better deal than that. So if you want to get the book, that's what I would recommend for you. And you sure do. Bianca takes excellent care of us. Bianca keeps everything organized in the Soul Shift group. We're super thankful for her. Okay, everybody. Mwah! Huge love. If you can't find it on Amazon, I would go with the thriftbooks.com link. Now you guys are going to inundate the system. But like I said, you don't have to have it. Even if you want to join in, I will read to you. A lot of people just close their eyes. They don't even want to be reading along. They just want to, they want story time, which I totally get that too. So you can just indulge and enjoy and let me read to you for a little while. And like I said, we'll pick that up in just a couple of weeks with everybody. All right, I love you too. You guys have a great rest of your night. I'm going to look forward